Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, the full chapter spoilers actually came out, and a couple more things and more details were added to the spoilers that we did actually get yesterday. The biggest thing that I'm probably going to talk about in this video, it has to be code, but past code, like a couple of things that did actually happen at the beginning of this chapter, which is very, very entertaining to me. It seems that Shikamaru saved Boruto's life. It seems like Kawaki was about to do it to him, like very, very early on in the chapter. Now, specifically at that particular time, it seemed like he had Boruto like in his grasp, like he was yoking up Boruto and just ready to like possibly like activate his karma stone, activate his Dojutsu, and possibly try something devious to Boruto. But Shikamaru kind of reminded him like, yo, remember how Naruto looked when you killed Boruto at first. And I think that right there is definitely important as to why Boruto was essentially able to like escape a battle at that given point. I'm not necessarily saying that Kawaki would have killed Boruto, but it would 1000% been a battle right then and there. But they didn't necessarily say that Kawaki got to speak to Momoshiki. I think that right there was probably a mistake. I think if he would have understood that, hey, Momoshiki isn't necessarily attacking inevitably at this particular point, then he could have possibly been at ease. Now, obviously, even after that, he's not necessarily going to be completely calm, but he'd probably be extremely less likely to like immediately jump into action and immediately go seal Naruto in the other dimension. I'd have had Momoshiki speak to Kawaki. But one of the biggest things in this particular chapter right here had to be, of course, the code situation. It went up to 10. Like, we haven't really heard about code. The last time that we did see him was a few chapters ago, like literally over 3 months ago, but he was essentially splitting up the 10 tails. Now, at this particular time in this chapter, it was actually confirmed to us that the 10 tails that he's splitting up, he actually split up into 100 people. Specifically, these things are going to be called Sumika or Sumika. I don't know. One of the things that Code actually did say here that was kind of interesting was that he wanted to actually make a full-blown army, but he understands that Ada wouldn't necessarily want him to cause a commotion. Not only does it confirm that he wanted to actually build a full-blown army, but also kind of confirms that as of right now, or it doesn't really confirm, but it gives us the idea that as of right now, he isn't necessarily trying to gain power. He's legitimately just trying to go after Kawaki. I think that right there is probably like an insane thing to do, mainly because he already understands that he's not going to be stronger than multiple people in the Hidden Leaf Village, and he understands that he's probably not necessarily going to be able to kill Kawaki out front. So it's probably going to be more of like a covert situation where he tries to catch Kawaki off guard. But even that doesn't make entirely the most sense, mainly because of Ada's actual abilities. She's going to be able to sense code what he's going to be doing and then essentially tell Kawaki. I'm a bit lost and perplexed about his actual plan, but I'm pretty sure sooner or later it's probably going to make a lot more sense. This right here is just the first time that we did actually get to see code in the manga in a very long time, and I'm super excited for that. At a very slight point, everybody was extremely confused as to like who the actual villain was. Now it seems like we possibly have two. A bit more information was added about the Himawari and Damon scene. The big thing about the scene was, of course, Damon kind of implying that Himawari has some sort of unknown power or some sort of immense power that we haven't necessarily seen yet, and it was kind of like even broadened in this particular translation. Specifically, it says, why didn't you dodge it? It's easy, isn't it, for you? That feeling that I felt just now from you, that intensity / power. And this right here is probably going to be very consistent with what we kind of saw a bit earlier. First things first, we understand that Himawari has a Byakugan that she isn't necessarily fully using every single time like a regular Hyuga member, but also we understand that she does have the locked on moments, or she does have the moments where she does get extremely overpowered and she's automatically able to like knock the 7th Hokage, arguably one of the strongest ninjas of all time. So this right here particularly isn't necessarily a brand new idea, but actually seeing Damon like kind of confirm it, that right there is definitely like a special moment. And I think that eventually we're probably going to get to see Himawari take a much bigger role, just because of the sheer fact that from we see right here, if Naruto and Himawari aren't necessarily there to like always protect Himawari, always be around Himawari, of course the next person that's probably going to be around Himawari and be protecting Himawari is probably going to be Boruto. And if Boruto is going to be in very precarious situations, Himawari probably has to know how to protect herself. Not necessarily saying that she needs to be an Otsutsuki member or Otsutsuki level type of character, but she at least needs to know how to protect herself. And I personally believe that level that Himawari did actually show can possibly be, you know, up to that standard. And the big thing that Damon did actually say, it says that this should be easy for you. So that right there essentially kind of indicates that Damon might even know specifically how strong Himawari is. And that right there in itself is very, very valuable. And that right there could possibly, I'm not necessarily going to confirm it, but it could possibly give us one of Damon's other abilities that we never really talked about, where it's like it's possible that he can actually tell the power levels of other characters or tell the potential of other characters. And I think that right there would probably be a very unique thing to add in the series of Boruto. Of course, very Dragon Ball Z-ish, but I think it would definitely be a very helpful thing for Boruto and the rest of the characters. But not only that, the whole Kawaki and Naruto situation, the whole Kawaki and Naruto scene, it even seems a bit sadder. Like this just seems extremely sad. I mean, one of the things that Kawaki did actually make clear in the last spoiler dump that we did actually get was the fact that Kawaki isn't necessarily doing this as like a, you know, FU to like Naruto. He's doing this as like, I want to protect Naruto. We just disagree on how we probably should go about the situation. Now, specifically at the moment where Kawaki did actually seal Naruto, these spoilers kind of make it seem that he sealed Naruto with his karma seal, which could possibly mean that Boruto could get to that same exact dimension. Specifically, it did actually mention that hey, his Dojutsu did pop up, but spoilers did actually say that the Dojutsu kind of shrank the actual portal that Naruto was trying to get out of. Now, if this right here is actually accurate, like if this right here is genuinely what happened, and of course I don't necessarily blame him if it's not necessarily what happened. Of course, translations from Japanese to English isn't necessarily exactly one-to-one, but if this right here is accurately portrayed, this right here could possibly mean that Kawaki's karma seal dimension is inside of his Dojutsu dimension where time doesn't flow. And that right there brings up a philosophical question. Can Boruto go into a dimension that's in a dimension where time doesn't flow and get Naruto back? Because the Karma Seal's dimension is in a dimension where time doesn't flow, does time flow in that Karma Seal dimension? That right there is probably going to be like a big question that's probably going to come up. And that right there is probably going to give us the answer as to, you know, if Boruto can possibly save Naruto. Because if time doesn't really flow in that dimension, I don't necessarily know specifically what Boruto could possibly do. But let me know what you guys think about these spoilers in the comment section down below. A bunch of things, but as I told you guys yesterday, this right here is probably one of the biggest storylines since the death of Karma, 1000%. But let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Barbie, and we out.
It's a knife.